We're diving into the idea that Greta Thunberg, the famous climate activist, might actually be a time traveller or even a clone. Just a fun theory explained. Now, this is just some wild speculation, but fun to use our imagination. Let's start with an old photograph that surfaced online. It's from the year 1898 and shows 3 children working in a gold mine in Canada. One of those kids looks identical to Greta. Seriously, the resemblance is uncanny. Could this be evidence that Greta has travelled back in time? But wait, there's more. In an interview, Greta herself once said that if she could time travel, she'd visit this year to witness the climate change tipping point. I mean, how specific can you get? And if you think that's crazy, let's talk about the Red Hot Chili Peppers. In their song Californication, they mention space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. And little girls from Sweden dream of silver screen quotation. Some theorists believe this is a nod to the idea that Hollywood manipulates our perception of reality, including time travel. Could they have been hinting at something bigger? But the rabbit hole doesn't end there. What if Greta isn't a time traveller, but a clone? There's a theory that powerful elites have access to cloning technology. Could it be that Greta is a clone of that child from 1898, created to be the face of the modern climate movement? It's not as far-fetched as it sounds. Cloning technology has been around for decades, and who knows what advancements have been made in secret. The idea of a clone being used to influence public opinion is straight out of a sci-fi movie, but sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. So, what do you think? Is Greta Thunberg a time traveller sent back to save the world? Or is she a clone created by shadowy figures pulling the strings behind the scenes? Either way, it's a fascinating theory.
It is definitely a fun one. If she was coming back to this year, then I don't think it would be to do with climate change. I don't think that's the reason. I think there would be a bigger reason for it, because I can only imagine that the resources of time travel in the future, if it's possible to come back, would be quite a lot and very dangerous, because you can alter the reality. So if he was coming back for a big reason. So in 2024, from the start of 2024 to the end, and I think there's going to be a lot more that goes on. I think a lot's going to happen. And I think there's a lot that's pinning on what's going on in America at the moment with who's going to be the next person in charge. And what happens with that, I think, could have a big impact on our future. And I don't know where she would come in with that, because she's just doing climate change, but maybe she's doing something in the background that we don't know.
With Greta, it's hard to say exactly what her purpose is. I mean, if you think about whenever she had that UN speech, she came out of nowhere. And then, her talking about being a time traveller, that if she was being a time traveller now would be the best time. And when you look at the way things have been over the past year or two alone, there's a lot of change taking place. But in terms of Trump, I do know that Trump's uncle, if I'm not mistaken, there was talks about him being a time traveller, wasn't there?
I think it's Donald Trump and Barron Trump. It was his uncle who retrieved the stuff from Nikola Tesla when he died from his room. That's the conspiracy. The actual time travelling conspiracy there is probably bigger than the Greta Thunberg one, but he's basically the time traveller coming back to save humanity.
There was a video game back in the 90s, and I've tried so hard for the past year or so to try and find it online, and it was a video game that depicted a president that became the most hated United States president. For 3.5 years, someone else took over, and he came back to win another election. And what happened was he won the election, but then the UN got involved, and then it was just all-out war because of this president. And so there's a lot of reference between that and, Donald Trump. So what if that video game was, in its own weird way, a sense of time travel, and it was actually depicting the future of what's going to happen because it already happened?
It is weird and surreal with a lot of stuff that's out there. From whether it's from the past looking into the future, or in the future looking into the past of time travel and things that are being predicted, or as a lot of people think, it's programmed that way. People know what they're doing in the future from hundreds of years before, and we're just seeing it being played out. And they put little snippets out there for you to see, and it's really weird.